If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everybody. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Thank you for listening. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today, starting with one of our favorite regular guests. We missed him last week because it was the day after Election Day. The man who brings the cosmos down to earth, Dr. Sky. He'll be here in just a minute to answer your questions, and we've got a full hour with him. So if there's anything you've ever wanted to know about space, the stars, or even some earthly phenomena, get those questions ready. Give us a call at 646-720-0635. That's 1-646-720-0635. And Dr. Sky will be happy to take on whatever you throw at him. Now, one big topic I'll be asking Dr. Sky about is something we're all feeling, particularly if you've spent any time outdoors recently. All of these wildfires and brush fires cropping up in our area. You walk outside, it smells perpetually like there's a barbecue going on. People are saying it's because we're not getting enough rain, but just how serious is it? Is this the new normal? And what role, if any, do larger cosmic cycles or even climate patterns play in what we're experiencing? I'm going to put that question to Dr. Sky and see what he thinks. Speaking of dry weather, it's looking like it's official. New Jersey has moved into a drought watch, and it's starting to look like they may even declare a drought warning. If things get worse, the state might even have to go into a drought emergency, which could mean stricter water restrictions for all of us. Right now, the Wanakee Reservoir and other water supplies are seeing record low levels. Rainfall in the area is way below what we'd expect at this time of the year. How bad is it? Well, South Jersey's drought status was upgraded to extreme, and the state's Department of Environmental Protection is practically begging people to cut back on their water usage. But the impact goes beyond just dry lawns and dusty cars. Over the past 2 weeks, New Jersey has seen more than 8 times the usual number of wildfires compared to this time last year. We're talking about a state that has basically had a bonfire ban as an emergency measure. Who would have thought that's where we'd be by November? So we'll dig into all this and more with Dr. Sky coming up in a moment. And remember, if you've got a question about the drought, space phenomena, there's new information coming out about Uranus, or anything out there that's beyond our earthly understanding, give us a ring at 646-720-0635. It should be an out-of-this-world hour.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. In a surprising twist, Mayor Eric Adams is urging a Manhattan judge to move up the start date of his federal corruption trial to April 1st, April Fool's Day, ironically enough. Now, usually defendants are begging for delays, hoping to kick the can down the road as far as possible. But here's the mayor pushing to start his trial sooner, a mere 3 weeks before his scheduled April 21st date, which is when the trial is supposed to start as of now. Why the rush? Well, Adams is staring down a packed Democratic primary set for June, and he knows that a looming trial could cast a pretty dark cloud over his campaign. His lawyer argues that if the trial's over early enough, Adams could jump back into campaign mode with a clean slate, or at least a shot at one. They're pushing for a jury to decide his fate, hoping he's found not guilty well before the primary so he can make his case to New Yorkers without this legal distraction, as his team puts it. So what exactly are the charges? Well, we've talked about this before, but the feds allege that Adams accepted around $123,000 in perks from Turkish nationals. These perks reportedly included luxurious stays, like at Istanbul's Bentley suite, aptly named for its luxury car design. Adams is accused of returning the favor by helping expedite the opening of a Turkish consulate in New York. His legal team insists that the government hasn't shown a direct quid pro quo to justify bribery charges, and they're asking the judge to toss that charge altogether. Now, here's the kicker. Adams clearly thinks he has a shot, or at least that he can survive this trial long enough to make a viable run for re-election. But it won't be easy. If the Campaign Finance Board pulls his matching funds due to the indictment or the charges in it of, illegal straw donors and things like that, he could face a very severe financial strain, especially with plenty of challengers in the race. On the one hand, you have to admire the strategy here. He's not hiding from the trial. He's leaning into it, hoping that New Yorkers will see his willingness to face the charges as a sign of confidence. On the other hand, he's going to have to make a convincing case not only in court, but also to a city that's watching pretty closely. It's a rare situation, a mayor in the middle of a re-election campaign actually asking to face trial sooner rather than later. This could either be a bold play that pays off or a fast track to the end of his political career and quite possibly his freedom. Either way, this will be fascinating to watch as it unfolds.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, the 2026 governor's race in New York just got a major shakeup. Up until yesterday, it looked like Lee Zeldin was the runaway favorite for the Republican nomination after his impressive run in 2022, where he grabbed 46% of the vote against an incumbent Kathy Hochul in a very blue state. He was the GOP's natural frontrunner. But as of yesterday, Zeldin is stepping out of the political arena, at least for the moment, the electoral political arena, to become Trump's EPA administrator, leaving the field wide open. So where does that leave the Republican race for governor in New York? Two names are now front and center. Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County executive, and Congressman Michael Lawler from the Hudson Valley. Blakeman has been rumored to be on the Trump team's radar as well, so he might be out of the mix soon enough. But if he stays in New York, he brings a solid record and recognition from his leadership in Nassau County, at least in terms of, crossing a lot of T's and dotting a lot of I's that Republicans find attractive, especially after flipping the county red in the last few elections. He's definitely got the profile to take a crack at Hochul. Then there's Michael Lawler. Fresh off his re-election to Congress in a swing district, Lawler is a rising star in the GOP, particularly after he beat Mondaire Jones, showing he knows how to win in tough spots. And Lawler's been playing it coy. He hasn't ruled out a gubernatorial run, which makes sense because he's probably watching to see how the field shapes up. Lawler is a moderate with appeal in the Hudson Valley, and he has a knack for connecting with those swing voters that Republicans need to have any chance statewide. But I'll tell you who I'd like to see step in. Andrew Giuliani. He's got that unmistakable name recognition thanks to his father, and he's got his own brand as well. Andrew's been rumored to be on Trump's radar as well, but I'd argue he'd be a formidable candidate right here in New York. He's charismatic, a strong communicator, and he'd offer New Yorkers a stark contrast to Kathy Hochul. He may lack extensive political experience, but you can't discount that Giuliani name, especially in New York politics, even these days. Giuliani would energize the base in a way that few other Republicans could. He'd draw a clear line in the sand against Hochul, especially on crime and economic policy. New Yorkers remember what things were like under his father, for better or worse, and Andrew could tap into some of that nostalgia, especially at a time when people are worried about public safety and affordability. So where does that leave us? Lawler is well positioned, Blakeman could make a serious play if he stays put, and Giuliani would certainly add some spark, but it's still early, and a lot depends on how things shake out with the Trump team and what the GOP base is looking for in 2026.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WNBC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, here's some big news out of the New York courts. A couple of days ago, a state Supreme Court judge struck down New York's John Lewis Voting Rights Act, calling it unconstitutional. And while this decision is already causing some waves, it's worth taking a closer look at why it just might be the right call. Here's the scoop. The law was intended to prevent voting discrimination, but Judge Maria Vasquez-Dolis found it went too far, violating the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause by granting enhanced rights to certain racial and ethnic groups. The judge pointed out that New York's Voting Rights Act was so broadly written that it could potentially open up the floodgates for just about anyone in the state to file a lawsuit claiming their vote was diluted. Think about it. Literally every person in New York could argue that their voting power isn't what it should be. Now, that's not just broad. It's a recipe for chaos in the courts. The case that triggered all this involved Newburgh, a majority white town where 6 residents, 3 black and 3 Hispanic, argued that the town's at-large voting system diluted minority votes. Under an at-large system, every resident votes for all town council seats rather than voting by district. But the judge ruled that the plaintiffs didn't meet the strict scrutiny standard, meaning they couldn't show that the system was designed to discriminate. Instead, she found that the law was overly broad, practically inviting judicial overreach into local election systems. Now, here's where the real constitutional sticking point comes in. Our Constitution guarantees equal protection under the law for everyone, not just select groups. Judge Vasquez-Dolis essentially said that this law crossed a line by prioritizing certain demographics over others, similar to the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling against affirmative action last year. Equal protection means just that, equal. The courts have repeatedly held that laws can't play favorites with race or ethnicity when it comes to protecting basic rights. And don't get me wrong, voting rights are vital and discrimination should always be addressed. But laws that play favorites based on identity aren't the answer. New York Attorney General Letitia James, who supports the law, argued that it includes other important provisions like language assistance and protections against voter intimidation. And those are indeed valuable. But they weren't even part of this case. If those provisions are worth preserving, perhaps they could be separated from this problematic vote dilution language. So where does that leave us? Well, it's likely this decision will be appealed, and the final word on the law's constitutionality may take a while to reach. But in the meantime, it's a good reminder. Protecting voting rights should mean fair treatment for all voters, without exceptions or favoritism. Anything else risks unraveling the very principles of fairness and equality that these laws are supposed to uphold.
Beam me up!
To be continued.